Welcome back, my creative people that are out to make a life that is up to them. Be a cause in your own life. Oh, if you haven't been here before, this is a channel for making change and getting some insights to actually help you empower yourself to make the change. This is the Maturity Project. It's about 8 different areas of maturity. I am your host, Chad Everett Broshears. Today's conversation is on turning your own page. In life, a lot of us, we almost seem like we want every day to be a carbon copy of the previous day, but yet still yearn for change. You want the certainty and the comfort of knowing that today will be as secure as yesterday was, if not then better. But we yearn for the positive change, the desirable, but we seem to shy away from the challenging aspects, the parts that actually make us go, you know what, that was a hard day. And just directly link hard with growth. We seem like we want that ease to mean growth, and it really doesn't seem to work that way. I can't speak for people that have achieved the highest level of significance in within our species when it comes to transformational conversations or the ability to just create things. I would say that there should not be a reason for a difference between that and what we currently have. What we all, or the majority of us, experience. I wouldn't say that there would necessarily be a difference there, other than the fact that when you get comfortable being uncomfortable, things seem to shift. Instead of being uncomfortable. Now it's like like me personally, I get uncomfortable whenever I get comfortable. Like something's not, I'm not making progress here, and it's a challenge that I have to deal with. I have to go through this in order to understand what's next, right, with my own growth. But I am absolutely addicted to growth. I'm hooked on it. I'm obsessed with it. So that's what you get whenever I make these videos, is that you're seeing that passion come out. Is this is me all day long. I live like this. I think all the time in a way that's how will we create the best possible solution to the current challenge. So with that, you will either, getting back to turning the page, is a lot of us, life is narrated to us, right? It's like your book is somebody else is writing it, and they're doing it in front of you. They tell you how the pages will turn. They tell you what the events will be. It's everything about it, because you're contributing to their world success, and you don't realize it because you're associating your current activities and behaviors to the reward that that person or that organization is giving you. So if it's in a relationship way, perhaps that's the relationship started off in the way that it did because there was the rewards associated with that relationship. And then the power dynamic shifted into uh, that person tells you how it goes. And you're more of, okay, well, I don't want to lose you, so therefore tell me how it goes. And then you live your life in a subservient way to your partner. Well, I can tell you that is a curse for both. The people that truly do find great joy in that are the ones that enjoy controlling others, which will typically fall into the antisocial personality disorder categories, with people with sociopathy, psychopathy, Machiavellianism, and obviously narcissism as trait values and all of that. So you find that in those types of situations and relationships. So if they don't have that control, they don't feel that satisfaction. And there are people that like to be controlled. Those types of people are out there. It's just, in my experience, the majority of people that I've interacted with really don't fall on either side of that. I have met both, and some of them are incredibly present in my mind as I'm making these statements. But and I'm not wronging them. They're parameters to learn from. So as the pages of life turn, it's if somebody else turns them, they're turning it for their reasons. It's you're keeping up with what they want. And I'm not saying don't do that. You can, I'm just saying that you may find yourself feeling robbed of your experience in life, the joys that you can have in life, because somebody else is dictating it. Now, when you start writing your own pages and you write your own chapters, that's where you take full responsibility. You can contribute to another person's success, and we will regardless, but it's a matter of you're doing it by your choice, not by you being forced into it. If you need money, obviously, well, you need to work and create opportunity for money. Well, you do have to do what the other person is dictating for you to do in the sense of working for a company. Unless you run your own, then it's your customer base, and what exactly is your customers looking for. You're in a real position of power whenever you can tell your customers what they're looking for, and how to uh, obtain your services or products or whatever it might be. But anyway, back to something more common or average or more relatable for the majority of people, because not everyone that watches this will be business owners. Not everybody who watches this are going to be interested in being business owners. They may have the fantasy once in a while, but overall, they really prefer to work for other people. There's nothing wrong with that. We're hierarchical creatures. We require hierarchy in order to find satisfaction in life. It's a matter of where you fit in that hierarchy. Some of us are placed where we are in the hierarchy based off of the demonstration of skills in association with people that we have been around. And then how that gets us access into specific places, but also puts us into specific categories that we become ideal to be in. So the decision makers will see us and say, yeah, I would prefer you be in that position because it contributes to the bigger picture of what I'm up to. So, turning your own page doesn't mean that you separate from other people and then you become defiant to others. As much as it is understand where you play a role in something, and if you decide that that's not what you want long term, then we need to strategize how to get you out of that situation and into something you do want more long term. So, there are, you know, things in life that are going to be teaching you quite a bit. Life is going to kick your butt. And what it is it's really not kicking your butt. It's kicking your ideas butt. You have ideas about who you are. You also have ideas about the way that the world works, the way that the situations that you're currently in work, and what the outcome should look like based off of what you have observed and also what you have fantasized be the outcome. What you believe the outcome will be based off of the narrative that you work in, that you have about you and about the situation. So you have a lot of reasons to get to what you believe is true about what you're going through. That turns into, again, it's the belief. The narrative is based off of beliefs. Well, once you get to realize that you're in this certain situation, now what do you do with that? Is that you can say, okay, well, you know what? I may have been effective at something, and you give yourself a positive note to where you increase your confidence that you're capable of doing whatever you might be capable of doing. And then you get to where you start getting your butt kicked, where things don't work out well. It's not you getting your butt kicked. You feel that way. It's more of your ideas are being challenged, and what you believe is true is being that's the thing getting its butt kicked. It is standing in the in the face of the challenge that will validate that particular belief. So if you really feel like it's defeating you, well, it's likely that your belief is not capable of handling the thoughts that you have, or the beliefs that you have are not capable of managing that outcome that you're attached to because of how you understand the situation. It doesn't mean that getting its butt kicked is your ideas or your beliefs getting your butt kicked or their butt kicked does not mean that it's wrong. It just means that it has to adapt, which means evolve for the current situation. You may not have enough resources associated with that particular challenge in order to overcome it. Doesn't mean the belief is wrong. It's just the preparedness of that is not up to par yet. Now it's a matter of building the checklist of what you need to know in order to be successful there. So you can go through it and say, hey, I'm not good enough here because I don't have the accumulation of these resources. I don't have the relationships necessary to make that work. I don't have the money. I don't have the time. I don't have the attention. I don't have the creativity. I don't have the bandwidth to do this yet, but I have the starting point and I can move this forward. The idea is getting beat up a little bit, but it's giving you the training that's necessary for that idea to become more and more successful. It by itself getting its butt kicked does not mean it's wrong. It just means that it is hitting some challenges, some adversity that you are going to be better to develop yourself through, because it will make you that much better as a person and overall, just in general, just make you better at life. So now, Yeah. So life will teach us what you don't know. And again, it does not mean you're on the wrong path, just that you don't know something about your journey. Here's the interesting thing about our knowledge: we become incredibly convinced that we know a lot of something until we really get out of our head about it and put it into full practice. It's pretty fascinating how this works because we get real confident about something. I've done this recently where I've asked, it was about, I want to say about a year ago, um, I had said to myself, you know what? I want to, I want to be challenged. I feel like I'm becoming the big fish in the small pond. And this is not about anybody around me. It's just that I was really dominating in some of the challenges that I was in, and I felt that it was becoming too simple or too easy. I was getting comfortable with what was going on, and I didn't like that. So I said, you know what, let's try it. Let's. I really want some challenges here, and I want challenges in as many areas of life as I possibly can take on, because I want to be somebody who really makes a difference in this life. I want to inspire and I want to help people. And I have to go through specific challenges in order to achieve that. So, one of the first things was work. Well, I got the ideas of me. That butt got kicked. You know, the idea of what I believed, who I was, and how I am. That really got significantly challenged in a way that it was, to say humbling wasn't that I was arrogant, because I wasn't arrogant. I was looking at it like I just wanted more challenge. I wasn't going about it like, oh, I'm the best that there is. That's not the way that I function. I don't know the last time I did something like that without actually making it into some sort of parody of who people believe me to be, or whatever, a joke, if you will. It's not me. I'm not that person. I don't go around telling people I'm better than other people. That's not the way that I do it. I may be more practiced. I may be more developed than others, but I don't make myself better than them as if they're lesser than me. Just maybe less practice, less focused, less developed, but I am intending to try to support them in the process. I'm not trying to take it away to go, look at me, look at me. So to make sure that that's a lot of clarity that I put out there. It's not, I wasn't humbled by being arrogant, but I was humbled by what I believed of myself. And the challenge showed up, and it showed up pretty big, right? It showed up to make me go, holy shit, I really opened something up here, and by taking this on, I took on a standard challenge, and I called for a Titan to show up. I called for the Colossus, and next thing I know, I don't know if it was necessarily the full blown Titan showed up, but the Colossus definitely showed up and knocked me around. Wasn't really, I thought I was prepared for it. And I had to regain access to who I was because it got hit pretty good, and I had to really go back and reevaluate who I am, how I am, and what I plan to do with this life. And it didn't change a whole lot other than you just got to continue to develop, but now you know more of where your work is. You've got a lot of work to do here and here and here. I was able to, without realizing it, put together a checklist of what I need for development, and it absolutely turned into something amazing for me. It has had me reset some things because I realized that I was on a path that was not really what I want in my life. Relationships, that one showed up as well. Started having some real challenges with who I was and how I was with my son and his mother, with my partners in life. Really got significantly challenged because it showed up as I had a Colossus show up. It was as a huge surprise, but it showed up by way of all of the lifestyle changes that I had made in order to try to accommodate for the changes that were required. My lifestyle changed. It wasn't just certain parameters, it was the whole thing. And with that, you know, uh, the stress from all of those things showing up really transformed my relationships in a way that it made me reevaluate a lot. And I realized I was staring at a colossus. I was staring at something so massive that if it wasn't for the reevaluation of Pandora's box, as I've spoken about in previous episodes, is I've let out chaos. And with that chaos, I have also started to take on those lessons that I had put away, because that's what chaos is lessons unlearned, or lessons that you refuse to learn. uh, and you're not prepared for the future of those evolved lessons. So when it shows up and you're like, "Oh, I've never dealt with this before," it is an ancestor. The ancestor of that is something you refuse to deal with. Oh, so for everybody who wants to disqualify a challenge when it shows up and it being chaos, and you're saying, "I've never dealt with this before," it has an ancestor of something you did not deal with, and you do not have the fundamental foundation necessary to deal with that chaos yet. But it's telling you, "Look at me, look at me." What's behind the curtain of Oz is the lesson that you can't see, because you see the challenge in front of it. You see the chaos that comes from that challenge, the destruction that could be present. So with Pandora's Box revisited, or the revised version of Pandora's Box, is after you complete the challenges that are in it, or as you convert, once chaos comes out, you grab chaos, you take it on, you learn the lesson, and then you put it back into Pandora's Box. But when you put it in Pandora's Box this time, you put it in as a lesson accumulated that has how you felt before it started, which was how challenging that thing is and why you avoided it in the first place, or why you didn't learn it. You have what you went through when you did learn it, and what the effort necessary in order to become successful with it. And then you have the outcome of it, which is how much you grew and what it did in the placement of where you are in your life's goals. So you have a way of qualifying life in a way that really does make bigger differences for you, because you can qualify and quantify effort of change. And then you can look back at that colossus and say, "I do actually have the preparedness to get into the ring with that thing, to get in there and fight like hell, to take on that lesson." Here's the beautiful thing about it, is the revised version of Pandora's Box, which is the thing that you have developed. It's your own personal design box, because you took it on. You took on those lessons. You're accumulating the bigger growth of your life, and it's being qualified by putting it into that box, so you can go back to it and constantly see it. You can go back and actually keep those things. You keep a journal and title it, Pandora's Box. Keep your own individual Pandora's Box journal. You will be able to quickly recapture all of those things instead of needing to sit back with your mind and think about it. You can look back and go, "Oh wow, there's one. I remember that. That was a solid lesson." Oh, yeah, great work to do, by the way. So you can look at it and say, "You know what? I became that much more from this." That colossus becomes something exciting to take on instead of something scary. Yeah, you're going to get your butt kicked. Your ideas are going to get challenged, and who you believe you are is going to be put in your face. The beautiful thing about it is that you can continue to take off the rough edges as you smooth out the professional outcome that you're after. The developed, mature person that you're becoming is actually a smoother version, because wisdom comes across as smooth, easy, understandable knowledge that helps people make changes now. Wisdom is knowledge and action that can alter outcomes. Knowledge without action can't alter outcomes, because it turns into trivia. It may calm you, but it doesn't do anything in the real world outside of calming you, which, hey, that's arguable too. But, having a good disposition when you take something on is great, but you don't always have to have a good disposition when you take something on in order to have an ideal outcome. So, I took on a lot of interesting changes whenever I said, I'm ready. I'm ready to find this big fish in a bigger pond, where I become a small fish again. And again, it's not, nothing is diminished around me. I'm not taking anything away from anybody else. I'm just constantly working on myself. I'm constantly in the gym of maturity. I will be in that gym for the rest of my life, always working on who I am to be better, to develop myself in a mature way, because life is depending on it. Humanity in my position is depending on it, because that's what I'm devoted to, is to make those kind of changes. I'm turning my own pages, but I'm realizing sometimes there's authorship on those pages that I didn't put into place. It's somebody else did it. I don't look at that as an attack or something negative, as much as I look at it as something that I can actually push through and to cultivate. Some of those authors wrote in my best interest because of who they see me to be, and I don't take away the love that they're giving me. I don't take away the support that they put in place. Plenty of that is there too. And then there's other people that wrote in things that are like, yeah, that was for them. And this again, we're all hierarchical creatures. I'm supportive of other people, so I'm not making it a wrong or a bad thing. I just have to read what was written, right? If I have to understand what was put down, because that's a role that is expected for me to play, and it's something that other people want me to be. It doesn't mean that it's wrong. It doesn't mean that it's bad. And sometimes, you will have to be those roles occasionally to find out if it actually has a deeper truth to you. But you'll also learn new tools in life. That's where they can also support you by applying the necessary training and development, the possible wisdom of what they need you to be, and that contributes to your life goals as well. Because you're not going to create these things in a vacuum. Some of the stuff is they inspire you. Some of these things that they teach you something that's a skill set or a trait value that actually supports your character. Or they change your character because they put you through the right stimulus over a particular period of time that can affect your character, which is, not uncommon either. So that, back to where I was at with the colossus of relationships that showed up, it was absolutely interesting to see what it took in my whole life to contribute to that area to make it what I thought was a certainty of outcome, and how that changed because the stimulus came in and reminded me that there is no outcome that's certain, but there's higher probability based off of your actions and life circumstances as they line up with each other. Your goal is to try to create the right circumstances in life that line up with your intentions so that you can actually have a higher predictability of those outcomes. This is why yesterday is comfortable, because you can analyze yesterday and see how it lined up and how it worked out for you and how you feel, because it's already done and you can analyze it. But analyzing what's currently happening and then apply things to make the changes necessary to meet your life goals is not as easy, because you don't have the certainty from what has happened. You can only gauge it based off what's happened in the past that is similar to today's events. You will not have a carbon copy day, ever. You'll never have a carbon copy day. You're not going to have the same day every day. It's not Groundhog's Day. You have a continuation. You can have a repetitious value where yesterday looks like today, but you're building on to today what you actually learned from yesterday. You're still developing. You're just developing in the direction that yesterday was represented by, and today seems to have the same characteristics and same values. You're just building into that. And then wherever you go, if you decide that you're not going to be paying attention to your own growth and development, you're contributing to somebody else's. You're doing it either way, but you may be offsetting your own benefit because you're not really doing much with it. The good thing is over time that can contribute to your pressure cooker. The thing that makes you really sit with the challenges in life and you're not doing much about anything, and that in itself provides the right frustration to get you to do something eventually, when you can qualify all of that, when you look back and say, what the hell have I been doing? Then you can use that as a motivator to get you to take action. So in my process of understanding things with this, it's really fascinating whenever you realize that a lot of the challenges and stresses that you go through in life are actually the challenge to the ideas that you have. Not you as a person, but the ideas. We spend a lot of time identifying with our ideas. Ideas, you don't have ideas. Ideas have you. That's an interesting way of doing it, because there are very few original ideas that any of us have. It's not something that's actually unique to our species, is that we don't really have a lot of original ideas. We think we do, but they're a contribution of other people's ideas as they come together, and then we can kind of mix them up in our own little blender of thought. And then we come up with something that we put a lot more ownership to, because we're like, hey, that was my idea. Well, yeah, you may have come up with that specific recipe, but the ingredients themselves have always been there. There are very few unique, innovative ideas that come out. But a lot of them are just combinations of other things that get mixed in, and then all of a sudden you got this thing, right? The invention of the internet was an idea that was unique. To an extent, because when you think about it, it's like we fantasized about a lot when it came to the ability to communicate. But there was a point in time that we didn't have any of that stuff. We had to communicate by word, and then the wire came along, and they were able to send messages, from one place to another, over great distances. That was absolutely mind-blowing to us, and that was a newer idea. It was something that was pretty unique. but we don't really have those every day. We have epiphanies, but epiphanies are a lot of times just a reorganization of a lot of thoughts and things that we understand already. And then it just gets us to the point where we're like, oh, wow, this is applicable in this way for this reason here. And then you get more access to something there, which is pretty fascinating. I personally love those. But unique new ideas are very rare. Combination recipes are common by comparison, but they're still rare for a lot of people because they're still the innovators that put those things together. They're the new cook, if you will. The new recipe has been provided that can be replicated to a degree. So with all that being said, you just have ideas that have you, that you don't really have them. They have you, which means that you get emotional about it when it gets challenged. The reality is, it's just an idea that gets challenged, but you believe it's you that's getting challenged. So we have these ideas that come up and we identify with them. When they get challenged, we get insulted. Well, we actually go through quite a bit whenever this stuff happens, right? We have the joy of an idea that's working, and then we have the mourning when we realize an idea is dead. It's a dead end, or it does not contribute to the greater good that you thought it would. So we mourn these things. The loss of a relationship is mourning the idea of the relationship and all of the emotions and everything around that. That's what mourning is. So it's fascinating to me as we go through these things, because we get so associated with the ideas that we have that we actually lose who we are. Actually, there's a lot of us that don't even know who the hell we are. We just associate the idea. So when you're in that mourning phase of an idea, let's say, you just believe that you were capable of something for so long. Like with me, it's not the death of the idea. It's the death of the conclusion of what I thought at the time. So I refer to this as the phoenix, right? So the mythological creature, the phoenix. It's a bird that it consumes itself within fire, and then an egg emerges from that flame, and it has new life, and it's constantly reincarnating itself. It's immortal. It's eternal. So it continues, and this is something that we all have as the phoenix within us. It's just a matter of understanding whatever it's truly in its metamorphosis, right? When you get to the greatest challenges you've ever dealt with, a lot of that is that you're just now getting to that point where you can combust from who you were, and you're evolving into what's necessary to be successful. But it's uncomfortable. It's painful at times. My Titan that showed up, I'm sorry, not Titan, the Colossus that showed up in the relationships. And who knows, she may be qualified as a Titan as well. We'll find out in time. But when it showed up, it really was an incredibly painful and uncomfortable place to be, because of what it made me burn into, right? It's like the reality of everything around it was just set on fire. The pain and anguish that came from the realization of what was there now turns into the opportunity for this glorious thing to emerge, right? Which again is also the qualifying of who you were before something occurred, what you believed about yourself, and what the challenge was that you wanted to avoid, but you took on. And so when it's chaos, it's something you've already actively avoided. You avoided it for a reason. When you take it on, what does it turn into? And then from there, what is it turned into is now the realization of the utility of what it's turned into, who you are after accomplishing that goal, what you become from the taking on those challenges, so that you have that metamorphosis taking place. The payoff is obviously, after learning the lesson, what kind of utility it gives you, how you can work through and go through life in such a way that you can become more and more powerful, more potent, more capable of taking things on. We're creatures geared for evolution and survival. We're on every continent. We can go to every continent. We can live on nearly all of them because we have abilities to adapt to everything. Then the hardware aspect of it, we're equipped. We just have specific accommodations that we need. On the software side of things, if you will, or the wetware, the mindset stuff, you're incredibly capable. It's just a matter of understanding how capable you are. I use these tools, like using some of the mythological structure that's already present, like the Phoenix or Pandora's box or the Titans or the Colossus, or the mythological aspects of things, the stories that have helped us rationalize and understand reality for since before the written language. I use those because of the same reason they did. It's to help. It's a teaching tool. Position and qualify. So we're going through ideas, and we realize that some of our ideas don't serve us to the greater thing, right? So what do we do with that information? You can start writing your own chapters, but you also have to practice writing things for yourself. Understand that you're capable of a lot. You're powerful. You're incredibly powerful. Um, how do you relish and take pleasure in the accomplishments that you have gone through, and not turn it into some sort of, you don't want to turn things into an orgy of ideas that really have, hedonistic outcomes that are, and not in solid development for a long-term benefit. It's about the immediate pleasures. Is that you have to practice this stuff. You have to understand the costs and the consequences of it. Some people don't need those lessons. Some people do. Why do some people need the lessons and other people don't? Well, it's because of how you're already structured. What your pleasure models are, what your pain models are, what your expectation of growth to feel like, and then what is that, right? Like, I'm not one that takes a whole lot of time for the party. I'm more of, okay, cool, everybody's good, we've all accomplished something here, enjoy it, enjoy your drink, enjoy the entertainment, the party, whatever, but don't forget, we got work to do. Let's not do anything to damage the work that we need to do. We're just taking a moment to celebrate. My thing is that I really don't celebrate for long. There's too much to do. Like, for me, my goal is to affect and support humanity by understanding the 8 different areas of maturity and how you combine all of these things. If this is becoming a little bit more of a mystery you're interested in, you'll learn the 8 different areas of maturity and how these apply to each one of these things that I talk about, how they work together, and how you can take charge of this on your own to make a better outcome. Is you do have to start putting action into this stuff. You could have 8 journals if you want. It's up to you. But I do first suggest that you understand exactly what each one of those 8 areas are, how you have already contributed to your own goals in life, and then figure out how each one of those areas contribute to your life goals, and what you need to put focus on because you're challenged in areas that you're not developed in, you're not mature in. It gives you access to mature yourself in that area. It is not an overnight success, but it is a way of strategizing your life, because a lot of these ideas that we have are not strategized well. We're just plugging and chugging along the way in this desperate attempt to try to be successful instead of strategically create success. So, 8 different areas of maturity. Well, if you don't take care of your physical body, which is the first area of maturity, well, it degrades over time and becomes less capable of dealing with the environment that you find yourself in. If your physical body isn't doing well, it doesn't matter how intelligent you are, it's falling apart. And also, your physical body affects your intelligence because of your brain is housed within it, right? Well, a community, how many people do you interact with? Do you share your story, and how do they contribute to the long-term success goals that you have? What resources do they offer you? How can you utilize your community to become more successful? You will not be successful in a vacuum, though, because other people will be required in order for you to manifest the kind of success that you're after. If your success ideas are for peace, well, you have to use other people in order to gauge what it's like to deal with chaos so you can manage into peace. There's cognitive or intelligence itself. That's a third area of maturity. Well, what are you doing to develop yourself? What do you know about what you're up to? How are you educating yourself? What's your direction for education? Most people need to get the syllabus. Most people need to have the agenda put out in front of them that a lot of colleges and public education does for you, is it give you the agenda. Here's your syllabus. This is what we're going to go over. And it gives you a peek into the outcome that you're after. When we don't have that, it's kind of hard to qualify what you're up to because you don't know what you're stepping into. So we get a little anxious about that. Most people, and unfortunately, and this is fascinating to me, a lot of people don't read anymore. Most people want it all fed, spoon fed to them if they get anything at all. You know, intelligence or cognitive is an area of development, of maturity. You have control over it. Your emotions, that's another area, it's the fourth area of maturity. No, you actually are not a victim of your emotions. You can develop them and you can mature them. And it's how do you pay attention to them? Do you let your emotions take you and do they keep you? Because your emotions will tell you things, a lot of things. And if you know how to decipher them, you have something you could work with. If you don't know how to decipher them, you're lost in them. And then they control you. And before you know it, you're limiting your abilities because your capacity to function is diminished every time the specific emotions activate. It's not just the negatives, it's also the positives. It's the desirables, it's the fun. It's when you're really excited about something. You know, immaturity can get you to the point that you miss everything else going on around you because you're so excited. Uh, it's not a negative as much as it is something to be aware of because life is about really the experience that you have, the fulfillment that's brought to you. That's life. That's the what people will give you at the end of their life is that what they actually feel was fulfilling. They'll share the good times, they'll share the bad times, they'll share everything that was fulfilling to them, not the fact that they just paid all their bills, or didn't. That's not what you typically get from deathbed confessions or from the end of life recap that people have together. So emotions are something that you can develop. Finance. Finance is another area of maturity. Plenty of people just don't understand what they're doing financially, so they're just paying their bills and then they reward themselves because why not? You've been putting yourself through enough hard work. Let's go ahead and reward ourselves, not realizing the actual long-term consequences of that reward, especially if something happens and the income that you're currently, you know, managing or generating is not enough anymore to keep up with the commitments that you've made, or something changes and you don't have that income anymore. Something is significantly changed. Lots of differences there. So there's that. Now, business, another area of maturity. Uh, you can either work for somebody or create your own, but you can develop it. Not everyone's going to have the greatest sense of joy if they make their own company or go off and start their own thing. Not everybody's going to have that joy. There'll be a lot of it that's just, hey, you know, it's a challenge. It's hardship. There's a lot there, and it does take something unique, and there's a lot of skills necessary to be successful whenever you run your own business. And then there is, sexuality, another area of maturity. There's plenty of great individuals in history that were taken down because they were sexually immature. They were exploited at the fact they were sexually immature, or that they became destructive with their own sexuality because they were not prepared or used to what's being presented because of their position. You know, uh, Power, influence, authority, being a person of value, um, making a difference, or standing out in community all make you more sexually appealing. And some people will utilize that as their own access to power, if you will, or their own access by utilizing your immaturity to get them where they want to be through leveraging or whatever it might be, but it still gets them where they want to be because they find that they can exploit that. I'm not saying that everybody is malicious like that. Sometimes there is none of that at all. It's just, it is really innocent in the sense that it doesn't have an agenda associated with it. They're just people acting out. It's just like people taking opportunity when they see it. So sexuality is an area of maturity as well, and it's not just who you prefer to sleep with; it's also how you behave. It's the colognes that you wear, the perfumes or the scents, the clothing, the way you walk, the way you talk, the way you interact with other people. Those are all aspects that get into sexuality, in the sense of the way that you demonstrate yourself to other people. Does not mean you're demonstrating for opportunity either. It's not guys are demonstrating to other men, for sexual opportunity. It's also placement. How well of a mate they could be, things like that. That's all parts of it. And then spirituality or purpose. It's the same category. It's just some people don't like spirituality, some people don't like purpose. I don't know. It's up to you. Spirituality, purpose is the eighth area of maturity. What are you here for? What are you doing? People with purpose seem to have a more fulfilling experience in life, but they go through a whole lot of hardship. So as Jordan Peterson says, pick up the heaviest thing that you can find and bear it. That's where you'll find the greatest degree of satisfaction by the challenges that you take on in life. Typically, in partners, we're also looking for people that are willing to take on similar challenges, things that we can relate to. It's why a lot of marriages are successful when they talk about each other's work, but when they stop talking about each other's work, success starts to diminish. The relationship starts to deteriorate if you have less areas that you can communicate with. So if you're both up to something, you both have purpose, there's a pretty good chance that that bond, especially if that purpose are closely aligned or aligned close enough with specific attributes that you can, relate to, then you're very likely to hold together better, and be less likely to just become roommates in the relationship, because you can also, with purpose, you can hold passion. Without passion, relationships find a way of calming down, like a wet blanket settles them in a way that takes away real deep intimacy, that deep satisfaction of having a partner that truly is wild about life and wild about them. So, yeah, we don't want to be completely tamed. We want to be able to experience the greatest degree of satisfaction and excitement in life, but we got work to do that. So, turn your own page. It is when you find yourself beat down, to revisit the conversation about the Phoenix before finalizing the video here, is I can think of times where I was so incapacitated by the emotions of being overwhelmed by, I've had my heart broke at work. I've had my heart broke from like coworkers and peers. My recognition for the work that I've done being given to somebody else has broken my heart. I've developed people that later became a Judas to me, and I had 3 Judases that I've created in my life that they just stand for like reminding me I was on the wrong path. But standing in the place of developing those people to make them, to give them the opportunities to make the best life that they could possibly make based off that moment that they have access and I have support for it, and then have them turn and betray me in some way, and if they fall into the category of Judas, it was a major betrayal that cost me something great, just like Judas with taking Jesus's life by, or being contributory to Jesus losing his life in, Christian belief. So I've created my own Judases, and they took something significant from me. But at the time, that's what it felt like. Later, looking back, going, all they did is they were there to make sure that I got back on the right track. They did what they did for whatever reasons they did, but I can qualify that they actually they repositioned me, because this is my life's work. This is what I'm up to. This is what I'm dedicating my life to, and what I have dedicated my life to is the maturity project. So 8 areas of maturity, and I teach on all of them. Now, I am not the expert in all of them. I am equipped to teach to a great degree, but I am also pulling in other people that are more equipped, more developed, so they can contribute to the bigger body of work, because this is something that we can change humanity by helping it understand how to develop itself, so we can reduce some of these challenges. So, but also, like, we're not going to make life easy. That's not the goal. We'll make life simpler because we can put things into categories that you actually have more workability with. So as this goes, the Phoenix, I can think of times that I've actually been, and like legitimately and physically, in the corner of like in the bathroom, crying on the floor, lost like the sense of everything, because the bird was on fire, right? The Phoenix was aflame, consumed completely by this unbelievable pain, this unbelievable fire that really helped me burn off the ideas that were holding me back. But it had to give me enough parameters to give me the understanding that those ideas were holding me back. Those ideas need to evolve, or they need to be let go. And that's a amazing experience to know that by me sitting on that bathroom floor, crying my eyes out, losing the sense of reality that I thought I had, was that idea, or the ideas, finally met the climax of they weren't good enough, they were wrong, whatever the category of the conclusion to those ideas. Some of them were just not good enough. That means they needed to develop and evolve or contribute to the next set of ideas that were going to be more potent and effective for me. And some of them were just completely wrong. That like I was living into something else somebody else told me at one point in time that I just believed. And some of that was, the undesirable negatives that were built into the foundation of who I am because I tell myself that I wasn't capable of something. Sometimes it does take that incredible heartache to tell you, to get you to dig up that area that you've been telling yourself all along is true, that you're not good enough, that you're a bad person, or whatever that is that has been built in that you forgot you tell yourself. And then it's brought right back to the surface because it shows up. You'll even say it to yourself when you're in those moments when the phoenix is on fire. You'll say it to yourself and tell yourself you're this, you're that, whatever. That's access to that little thing that you were given at another time of your life. You can now do something with it. I've caught myself, and I've got a hold of that little son of a bitch. It's its own little rabbit, right? It's on the radar. It hit the radar, man. I was on fire, and I'm like, holy shit, this hurts. This sucks. This really sucks. This sucks horribly, and this is the kind of pain that you want to avoid. And for me, I'm like, God, I know I don't. I want to avoid this. I really do, but I don't. I know on the other side of this, if I take this on, I'm going to be that much better. I know I'm going to be that much stronger. But holy shit, is this hard? That's the last couple of reps in a workout that actually makes your body change. That's the workout that makes you lose weight or build muscle, that makes body transformation. That's it in emotion. That's the real hard stuff. If you turn away from that and you avoid it, you are not going to see the change that you're looking for. Yeah. Good chance you'll actually hold that against other people too if you don't actually accept it for your own lesson. Punish other people for things they didn't do. And for my Colossus, I'm sorry for that. I did that to her and to us, which is really interesting. But if we want to make a bigger change, this is what we have to do in order to get there. So you let that bird burn, man. That phoenix, it's supposed to. That's the story. When it's at its glory is where it's worshipped. It's where everybody looks at it and goes, wow, that's an amazing, beautiful bird, right? The phoenix is such a beautiful, captivating creature. And then it helps get full of itself. And before you know it, something changes in the environment. And it has to be, the reality of what it really is set on fire. And then it comes out as a new opportunity. It comes out as something better, built off of the past. But the future is now new for it, instead of being convicted by the past because it's just a continuation of the turning of the page. The last thing we want is to live our life, and the book that our life has been written in is, this is what it's every day is like. And they're so similar to the day before. No one would get through reading the whole thing. It would bore them to the point that they're like, I just read this page. I read that page. It's too similar to the previous. It's not identical, but it's similar. Every day seems to be so similar. We don't want to read a book like that, but we're willing to live a life like that. I'm not. And that's what the Maturity Project's about, is that that's not what you're up to either. You don't want that life. You want something different. So, all right. That's it for today. I really wanted to get into this. Now I'm going to head off to the gym. Started my early starts again. Got plenty to do. So, all right. Well, with that, you're powerful. You're so incredibly capable of making the change that really will bring life, new meaning to you. You will have to be the phoenix at times. There are things that are going to have to burn off. There are ideas about you that are holding you back that will come when you go to burn them off, will come at a huge cost. It will be painful to go through that cost, but you still have to do it if you want that future. So it's okay. Other people have done it too. You're not alone. You're not. It's just at the moment when you're on that bathroom floor and you're crying your eyes out and you just lost all sense of who you are, and everything turns into this amazing and incredible challenge. And I don't mean amazing in the positive. I mean just overwhelming challenge. That's temporary. But if you choose it to not be temporary, you'll make it part of your foundation and say that, you know what, give somebody else the responsibility of that. Somebody else did you wrong, and give it to them. Don't take any responsibility for it. You'll repeat it. or you'll live in misery of not being able to repeat it again, because you repeating that still had all the joy and all the love and all the fun that led up to it before it all burnt to the ground. You'll miss that too because you won't even get into it. You'll create a colossus to put into that Pandora's box of things to avoid. That is a massive piece of chaos that if you open up that box, it's going to demolish you immediately. It's going to stomp you out. That's the kind of thing that you can create. Don't do that to your future. Doing that to your future, you've already got enough stuff in there. It's hard to get over those things. So take responsibility for wherever you are. That is a fast way of gaining access to all of those chaotic lessons that are waiting in the box of chaos that's Pandora's box. Now, you'll have the powerful ability to open that thing up and to start working your way through it, but you got to take responsibility to do it. Otherwise, you're going to go into that unequipped or ill equipped, and that thing is just going to get you. It's going to be like, Chad, you're crazy. I can't face that. That's ridiculous. That all diminishes your self-worth and it lowers your value as a person. Don't be a person that's just valueless, because value is associated by what you yourself believe of yourself, and then all the life experiences that you have and how you cultivate your character. So be a high value person. Develop yourself in all 8 areas of maturity. The guidelines are here. Send me an email and I'll send the guidelines back to you. It's a starter piece. It's just a document that gives you all 8 areas of maturity. Send me an email at yourmaturityproject@gmail.com. It's YOUR maturityproject@gmail.com. I'll send you back with a document and we can get started on that. Comment in the comment section. Let's get this thing, let's help the community, because that is community maturity. Let's work on that. Let's get this out to people. Let's really bring something to the world for others. Inspire them. It'll inspire you. Share what you've been getting out of this as well. Just say hi in the comment section too if you want. Whichever way, just put something out there. Like the video, help with the algorithm. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Do share this video with somebody in your life you want to break the ice with. Have a conversation of meaning with. Start something. You don't have to have my same conclusion, but at least it's someplace to start with somebody. So, all right. Till next time, this is the Maturity Project. I am your host, Chad Everett Broshears. Path to hell is paved with good intentions. Let's disrupt that by developing ourselves. Let's not make any more paths to hell. We got enough people doing it. Let's interrupt it. Let's be somebody of virtue. Let's be somebody of high value. All right. Till next time, let's get up to some stuff, shall we? See ya.